Hey everybody, Bet the Beach Live episode 3. I'm joined here by Mia, as you can see. She's curious as to what the plan is here tonight. Well, the plan is to talk some beach volleyball. My name is Chris Turk. Glad you could join me for episode number 3, Bet the Beach Live. Glad to be here. Got a lot to talk about tonight, just like last week and pretty much every week. Headed up here until June 10th. We will take a look at the Olympic standings, take a look at the top 17 in both genders. And now we got the bubble watch. Now we can take a look at the teams that are last out, the first ones in. I guess last one's in and first one's out. The ones that still have a chance of making the cut and the ones that time is just about running out to make that final run to Paris coming up here July and August of 2024. We're going to recap a very exciting Elite 16 in Tepic, Mexico. The second of 5 Elite 16s prior to the June 10th deadline for Olympic qualification. It was a fun one. We'll talk about that in depth. Huge story if you've been following Bet the Beach. Checking out the blog. Comes out every Tuesday, betthebeach.com. If you're following along on the socials, it's at Bet the Beach. You can see that right here, right there, at Bet the Beach, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. We started to gamble. Bet the Beach made its first official wager on a beach volleyball match this past Saturday at the Elite 16 in Tepic. We found an app in Massachusetts that would allow sports gambling, so we are on the books, we are making money, and we are recording it. We're going to record every single bet. And so I will show you some of my slips, talk about some of the ups and downs from the past weekend here on the show as well. And again, check out the blog for the full in-depth story of my first weekend as an official beach volleyball gambler. We'll do a preview of Xiamen, China, the challenge event that just underway within the last hour or so. Qualifiers going on from the other side of the globe in China. So we'll get our bet slip for that. And then a couple other news and notes. Chris Marlowe, former AVP commentator and legend, now the voice of the Denver Nuggets on the Altitude TV network. An excellent call from him in the Jamal Murray game winner from a couple of nights ago for the Nuggets over the Lakers. So we'll get you that. Zana Muno was on Sandcast this week. Excellent conversation. We'll bring you a clip from that. Got an Instagram story from April Ross out on the beach, the A-team back on the sand, practicing, getting ready for some AVP runs this summer. And then finally got some pictures and some content coming out of Hawaii, the Dino, the dinosaur, the old volleyball tournament that I know very, very little about, but we'll learn about that along with you here today. Let's start ourselves in Tepic last weekend, the Elite 16. And it was a event. Of course, we were gambling on it, so that's always going to make it a little bit more fun. You see the podium there. Sweden, the youngsters, the jump setters on the men's side taking gold. They beating George and Andre in that final gold medal match from Tepic last Sunday night. That was a good one. That was one that we were a little bit leveraged on. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And then on the right side there for the men's, you see Cuba. Cuba's hot streak continues, coming off of 2 silvers back-to-back in Brazil. They go to Mexico, and they take a 4th at a challenge in Guadalajara. And then the next weekend, they go to an Elite 16, and they put together the best performance of their career by a wide margin. They end up taking bronze, beating Germany's Ehers and Wickler in that bronze medal match. Cuba playing some absolutely fun volleyball to watch right now. Diaz and Aleo, they are special to watch. I'm very, very excited about where they stand. 4 weeks ago, I would have said they are a North American continental qualifier only getting into the Olympics. And now I saw my guy, Travis Merwitter, on the Sandcast Road to Paris, which I highly recommend you check out. Go to their YouTube channel, Sandcast YouTube channel. Travis does who's in, who's out, who's sharpied. He's got Cuba now sharpied, and we'll take a look at the Olympic race, and we'll see why that is the case. But Cuba, just an awesome performance from them, Diaz and Aleo. They ended up losing in the semifinals, And that loss was to, I believe that was George and Andre they lost to, yes, because Sweden then played Germany in the semifinals. So George and Andre beating Diaz and Aleo for the second time in about 5 weeks. Of course, that was the gold medal match from one of those 2 challenge events in Brazil. And Diaz and Aleo not able to beat George and Andre, who are playing some excellent volleyball at the moment, and end up in that bronze medal match and just played an excellent match. Did Cuba. A lot of fun to watch, explosive, doing a little of that jump setting, tempo volleyball, and they've been a really fun team to watch, and they're a team that I'm really excited about to see coming into the Paris Olympics. Next up on the list, we have Switzerland. Switzerland's first gold as a pair. Tanja Uberli and Nina Brunner. I saw on the road to Paris, Travis Merriweather was surprised by this. I, too, was surprised by this. They had won a couple of European Continental Championships, but never gotten a gold at any level on the Beach Pro Tour. They've been such a good team for so long. They're a team that's always in it, that whenever I write my bet slips up for these Elite 16 events, they're always in the, somewhere between plus 800 and plus 1,500 to win gold, and they win their first one. And they did it in a special fashion, beating the Netherlands Xiamen, who are playing amazing volleyball as well right now. And it was really fun to watch them. You could tell how important it was to them. All these pictures are courtesy of Volleyball World, en.volleyballworld.com. And I had to pick through like 5 or 8 pictures of Switzerland just being like super pumped and just really, really, really into it. And so they were, thrilled to get on the podium, to get those crocheted volleyballs from the Tepic. That's the prize you get for winning gold in Mexico. And so Brunner and Uberli for Switzerland, they were already pretty much definitely in. But they hadn't really set themselves apart, at least in the last 6-8 events, from Switzerland's second and third teams. 2 teams that are really battling for that second Olympic spot for Switzerland. Well, now they're in for sure. Now they're in by a wide margin, and Brunner and Uberli get on the podium for that first time. Also in Tepic on the women's side, and just, a couple of excellent matches and performances. I'll say this, Guittardi and Menegatti. I bet on them in the quarterfinals, and that was a game that I think that was the quarterfinal game. We'll get to it in a little bit. In any case, I put some money on them in a game I thought that they could steal a set. They were set dogs in that, and they played really, really excellent volleyball. Just narrowly lost the first set, came into that second set, and they were right there on the technical timeout, and then the wheels kind of fell apart. And so when you watch that team, you watch Valentina Guittardi just highly performing, just at the net, incredible blocking, sides out incredible, passes well. And I think Marta Menegatti, the vet on that team, was a little underperforming this tournament. And so when the wheels came off in that match, I was hesitant to go back to that well. I went back to the well. I took them as set spread dogs in the next match, and it paid off. That was a match that they lost in 3. I believe that was the semifinal matchup in which they lost to Xiamen, but a great match nonetheless between those 2. So Guittardi and Menegatti, the Italian women, putting together one of their best runs in an Elite 16. And, of course, Barbara and Carol, doing what Barbara and Carol do. They were incredible, as always, and just an awesome performance there for Switzerland, the Switzerland women doing just a wonderful job there. Moving on, we got to talk about the USA. All nights for the USA's top teams, and the rest of the teams that went out to Mexico came back with a lesser result than that. So in the bet slip here, this is the odds to win men's and women's that I showed you, that I prepared for you, so you can get some fun action with your friends. Headed into the weekend in Tepic about a week ago here on episode 2, Bet the Beach Live. So if you look at that, you look at Crab Brunner. I had them at plus 1,600 odds there to win the whole thing. For the USA, they take a 9th. Go further up there, Partain and Benish. I had them at plus 600 odds to win the whole thing for the USA. And I think even at the time I said I was a little worried that was a little too high, and it certainly was. Because they looked like a team that hadn't played competitively in 4 months. They looked, I don't want to say slow, but just a team that maybe was still knocking the rust off. Were Partain and Benish in that match. When they did jump set, it wasn't pulling the defender. When they did option, the defender was there. They were just a step slow. And again, I don't know if it's that the rest of the world has caught up to them, but a veteran that I know that's a big-time volleyball mind, she told me she thought 4 months was too much to take off, in the midst of an Olympic race. And we talked about how Miles Partain had never had an off season, had played indoors right up until last spring, and then went right out onto the beach and had been doing such for the previous few years, college indoor, volleyball outdoors in the summers. So for him to get some time off and some rest in those legs, I think was great. The question is, was it too much of a break? I don't know. We'll see. There's still a lock to make the Olympics with their amazing run from last summer. So Partain and Benish, something to watch for. But in any case, as I said, Partain and Benish plus 600 odds, they take a ninth. Kelly Chang and Sarah Hughes on the United States side, they're at plus 300 odds. They take a ninth. And then Taryn Cloth and Kristen Nuss, they're at plus 300 odds as well to win the whole thing, taking a ninth as well. So a very disappointing result for the USA. For 3 of those 4 teams, it doesn't mean a lot. If at all, besides just a result that you'd like to see a little better. For Trevor Crabb and Theo Brunner, it was an opportunity direct into a main draw. The last ones in before the wild card were Trevor and Theo, and an opportunity there lost to distance themselves from Miles Evans and Chase Budinger, who took, I believe, a 13th here in Tepic this past weekend. So an opportunity lost there for Trevor and Theo, taking that 9th. Chase and Miles aren't able to capitalize. They get a 13th. Both teams direct into the main draw in Xiamen, back out in the sand, starting tomorrow. I saw Miles's Instagram story earlier today. Very windy day out there in Xiamen right now. Or at least it was probably yesterday. Those clips were from yesterday on his story. So windy conditions out there yesterday. We'll see how that affects the play of these players out here in Xiamen, and we'll get to that bet slip here in a few minutes. So a disappointing result for the USA, but one that's ultimately meaningless for 3 of those top 4 teams, and an opportunity lost there for Trevor and Theo, who do still hold on to a decent lead there in that Olympic race. We are going to move on here in just 1 second. You'll have to excuse me. My Celtics got the hat on right now. They are playing the Miami Heat in the second game of the first round of the NBA Finals here. And right now trailing the Miami Heat by 6. 5 minutes to go in the fourth. So just checking in there very quickly. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the gambling weekend in review. So let me tell you the backstory here. Sports gambling has been illegal in all but 4 states in the United States since, I believe, 1962, is it? And that was the Amateur and Professional Sports Competition Act, PAPSCA, something like that, was passed illegalizing sports gambling in all but 4 states in which it already existed and had states' rights in. Back in 2018, the Supreme Court voted that down, removed that as legislation, giving the rights to individual states to make their own legislatures about sports gambling. A flurry of states have jumped on that bandwagon, and I think as of January, something like 30 or 40 of the states in the country have legalized some form of sports gambling. My home state of Massachusetts, Boston Celtics, mobile sports books went live in the state last spring. So that would be January of 2023, I believe. 2022, 2023. And so right now I think there are 6 mobile sports books that are live. I happen to use DraftKings from before that because I'm border on New Hampshire. You could gamble in New Hampshire, so I had DraftKings for that purpose. So I stuck with DraftKings. I would continually search their sports books, search beach volleyball, nothing comes up. When I went to Mohegan Sun or Foxwoods or in Connecticut or Encore in Boston, I would check their sports books there, no beach volleyball odds. So this was right around the time when I was starting Bet the Beach, so I figured, all right, well, they don't make the odds. Let me try to make some for you. So I would come up with lines for individual games. Total point spreads was the way I initially attacked it, which was tricky because you go 2, you go 3, it changes the spread, and it's kind of not really a predictor of how the game turns out sometimes. But I didn't have any idea. I didn't know how beach volleyball gambling worked. That's why we started this thing. And so I would do these futures, like you just saw, the results in Tepic there, and the bet slip coming up here for the Xiamen challenge, which is, as I said, just underway. So I do some futures, odds to win, odds to podium, individual point spreads. And then a Twitter user, and if you go to the blog, I'll have his exact handle there, but it's like at Burnaby Joe, Burnaby_Joe, reached out to me after I got the Bet the Beach socials live and said, why are you making your own spreads? Why don't you use ones that exist? And I said, I don't have access to them. And he had mentioned to me at the time that he was getting odds wherever he was from on Bet365. So I looked it up. I confirmed it. Bet365 not operating in Massachusetts. I still had no access to do legalized sports gambling on beach volleyball here in my home state. So I just kept my eye on it. I would check in the books occasionally, see if odds were posted on some of the books that I didn't use. Well, I did that this past Saturday. I checked BetMGM, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to shout them out a couple of times, and then I'm going to make them pay for it. For advertising, contact me, betthebeach@gmail.com. But anyways, BetMGM was, I downloaded it, I found the odds. I can get odds for Tepic games that were going on within an hour or two. So I said, hell yeah. Signed up, put $100 in my bank account, and we were off and running. So I ended up gambling on 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches over the course of 2 days, Saturday into Sunday. The slip that you have on your screen right there in front of you, Melon Brandy versus Brunner and Huberli. A moneyline bet, my first moneyline bet, odds -125. That was a loss. Moneyline bets are tough. I had Melon Brandy winning it outright, as we know. As I just told you, Brunner and Huberli went on to win the whole thing, playing their best volleyball I've seen. I had Melon Brandy ranked a better team. I still probably do. That gap has certainly narrowed. Melon Brandy are the 5th best team in the world. Maybe Brunner and Huberli are my 6th or 7th best team in the world at the moment. Something like that, maybe 8th. So it was a loss. So I'm down to $10. And thank you, BetMGM. They give me the bonus bet. And I turn around and I use it right away on Guittardi Meningati, Stam Schoon, set spread. This was a $10 bet, plus 110 odds, and I had Guittardi and Meningati plus 1.5 sets. And as you can see there, I took this as a live bet, Stam and Schoon up to right after the technical timeout in that first set. Used my bonus bet there on the left. So I'm down to 90 in the account, and I have a possible payout of $11. You put 10 in, you make 11 back. Good payout there. That bet, also a loss. So I still have my $90 because of the bonus bet, but now I'm 0-2 ever in sports gambling on beach volleyball, and I'm starting to get a little nervous. Like, how can you be the Bet the Beach guy and just continually lose on your sports bets? But I learned something right there, and I learned that I love a set spread dog. The bet didn't win, but I love the feeling of it. I'm sitting there. I got Guittardi and Meningati. They're the underdogs in this. Stam and Schoon definitely a better team than them, at least at the moment. And all Guittardi and Meningati have to do is take a set. They couldn't. As I said earlier, the wheels kind of fell off in that second set. Stam and Schoon beat them in straight sets, and that second set wasn't pretty. I'll say that. But a set spread dog is fun because you want them to steal a set. And they're the dogs, right? So you want them to take the first set. That's the opportunity to really steal one. And once you win it, once your underdog gets that set, you're invested in it at that point because you won the bet, and now you can sit back and relax and watch it. And because one of the things I would say about gambling is this, it's great to really invest you in a game, but sometimes you lose track of the actual sport in the game that you like to watch. And for me, gambling's always been a really fun thing, but I don't want it to bastardize the thing that I love, which is the purity of the sport. A set spread dog, your underdog wins the set, you sit back, and now you can watch the match with no leverage on it. You're not just living and dying by every point because your juice is still out there. You already got the payout. You already lost the payout. In this case, if you're betting set spread dogs, you've already won the payout if you're in a third set and you're watching it. So I'm 0-2 at this point, but I am certainly starting to get hooked, and I'm learning. Now, let's move on to, let's see, this would be our, I already showed you that one. This was my third bet, also on Saturday. Germany's Ehlers and Wickler versus Xiamen and Helvig. I have set spread dog, Ehlers and Wickler, as minus 110 set spread dogs. Possible payout 1909. Bet the Beach gets its first win. Ehlers and Wickler are able to take Xiamen and Helvig to that third set. I believe they ended up losing in that third set. That would have been a semifinal matchup at that point. So Germany ended up losing in that semifinal match, ends up in that bronze medal match versus Cuba's Diaz and Aleo. So it's a set spread dog bet. It's our second in a row. You could tell already I liked it. Now we're 1-2 ever in beach volleyball gambling. Moving on to the final semifinal matchup, Cuba versus George and Andre. I got my Cuban guys as set spread dogs again at minus 190. Another win. And then my balance is up to $104.35. And then just very quickly at the end, so early on Sunday, I had a couple more set spread dogs that won. I had another money line bet that lost, and then I get here. So I'm looking at this game, and I'm thinking David Amann and Jonathan Helvig versus Brazil's George and Andre. Sweden's the best team in the world. They only win golds in tournaments that they enter and then stay all the way through. So I'm thinking Sweden's going to win it. Sweden's going to win it in 2. And I look at the odds, and I'm getting better odds for the under 79.5 than I am for Amann and Helvig minus 1.5 sets. And I'm thinking if they're going to win in straight sets, the number is probably going to be 80 or less. 21-19, 21-19 is 80. Even if, George and Andre take it to the limit there and lose, that under is looking pretty good unless we go into extra time. So I bet the under. I lose the bet. I'm devastated because I didn't even like doing it. I'm a big barstool guy. Big Cat, as always says, life's too short to bet the under. I've usually stuck with that in my life, and I figured maybe in beach volleyball things might be different. Nope. Big Cat's right. Life is too short to bet the under. This was a bad bet. Dead on arrival. Not fun. Nothing doing there at all. So then what I did was I already lost the bet because the under hits would go to the third set. I'm early in the third set. I think Sweden's down like 2-3, maybe third set 2-4, something like that. And I look and I can get Sweden at, what were the odds here? Money line to win at plus 105. And I'm thinking, yeah, they're down a point or two, but I still don't think there's any chance in the world that Sweden loses this match. So then I chase. And if you're a gambler, you know what the chase is. Your balance is following. You're trying to the late games. You're going to the West Coast games late at night. You're trying to make that day successful. Sunday night football, trying to get back the losses of your day. And again, gamble responsibly. These are only $10 units, and this is for educational purposes. So I put 20. I doubled up my unit. I put 20 on Amann and Helvig at the money line to win at plus 105. I can't believe I'm getting plus 105 for the win money line. They win. And I end up going 4-5 on the weekend. I end up plus $17.01, so I'm at $117.01, up 17.01. Again, that's thanks to the bonus bet. And that was my week in review on gambling. A little bit of analytics for you. 5 wins, 4 losses. Win percentage, not great. Moneyline bets 1 and 2, not great. I didn't bet any set spread favorites, but as I said, I did have a lot of luck with those set spread dogs. After my first loss, I won them all, 80% there. I think set spread dogs are going to be the way to gamble on beach volleyball. Hold on. Celtics down 11. Under a minute. Not looking good. Not looking good. Miami Heat's a team they got to beat. Anyways, moving on. Let's take a look at our Olympics, shall we? Let's start with the women. This is your women's top 17 teams to make the Olympics, and this is as of yesterday, so this is following the conclusion of the Elite 16 in Tepic. All your favorites, everybody that you know is in and locked in. Anna Patricia, close enough. Kelly Chang, Sarah Hughes, Barbara and Carroll, Mel and Brandy, Stam and Shkoon, Uberli and Bruner, Guittardi Menegatti, Zhu and Gia for China, and Tina Anastasia for Latvia. Before we get to our first country quota victim, in Brazil's Taina and Victoria. You got Mueller and Tillman from Germany. Second Brazilian team going to miss the cut due to that country quota. Already 2,820 points behind Barbara and Carroll, and they're the 10th best team in the world. Just unbelievable. Clancy and Mariafe, we haven't seen them at all yet this season. Esme and Zoe, right above their country counterparts in Virgé Dupree and Mater from Switzerland, who are out but 220 points behind Esme and Zoe. Ludwig and Lippmann right now in with 7,100 points, 13 tournaments played, and they are 180 points above Ittlinger and Borger from Germany, who had a good performance in a couple of those challenge events, and in Tepic took a fifth, did Ittlinger and Borger, and Mueller and Tillman. Ludwig and Lippmann took a ninth, so a little opportunity for Ittlinger and Borger to gain some ground, now only 180 points behind Laura Ludwig and Louise Lippmann. All right, let's move on to the bubble, because that's where we're all really focused at this point. Right there on your screen, you see the red line. That's your cutoff for qualifying via Olympic points. Right now, Finland on the women's side, the last team in, 17th team qualifying. That puts Pav and Molly McBain from Canada out right now, 40 points below that cutoff line. Spain's Liliana and Paula, 140 points below Brazil country quota. They are well out of it. Thailand, Austria, Poland. So for me, when I look at this list of teams, I would draw my line of having a chance to climb still, probably just underneath Heather Bansley and Sophie Bukovic from Canada. They are a pretty good amount of points back right now. 1,280 points back are Bansley and Bukovic. They are playing here in Xiamen, China. So they will be starting either tomorrow, or they're probably starting directly. Yeah, they are main draw direct in. Our Bansley and Bukovic. They are the 10 seed in Canada. So the thing about them, and the reason I put the cutoff line them there is, the big number there is the 10 tournaments played. They still have 2 more tournaments just to add numbers there. So if they get a 9th or above in Xiamen, probably a 5th would be what they're looking for here. And then you still got 3 Elite 16s to gain some ground. So they do have a lot of opportunities there to just add numbers when everybody else is replacing bad finishes with good. So I think Bansley and Bukovic and everybody above them are your in contention, still in the hunt. Therese Cannon and Sarah Sponsel, I would say the same, but they're not playing anymore. And everybody below that is just too far out. You will probably see, I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing Vieira and Chamarou from France would be the host nation bid that France will give, where Placette and Richard are going to qualify via points. France then will get the 2 bids, the one that they earn via points, and then the one that they earn via hosting. Moving on to the men's side, on the top now is David Amon and Jonathan Helvig. They are officially qualified. They've played their 12th tournament. They are in Molten Sarum, Erzin Vikler, George and Andre, Kodafava, Nikolai, Evandro, and Arthur. Perugic and Schweiner highlighted in blue there. They're your world champs. They got the automatic bid from that. Work our way down. Netherlands, Partain and Benish right now are sitting there. They are your 8th team in the Olympics if everything started today, and they still have one more finish to add, which they will do in the next Elite 16, which is coming your way from Brasilia, I believe, and that's 2 weekends away from now. Trevor Crabb and Theo Brunner focused on the United States end of the angle of this Olympic race. Again, 2 teams qualify per country for the Olympics. Doesn't matter if you are above or below that bright red line at the bottom of the screen that signifies the top 17 teams. If you're highlighted in red on this page right here, that means you are the 3rd team from your country, from your federation, and you do not qualify for the Olympics because of that 2-team quota. So Trevor Crabb and Theo Brunner are currently occupying that spot. They're the 10th team in, 17 tournaments played. And you go down there to number. They are the. Let's see. They would be the 16th team in via points, but now Chase Evans and Miles Evans and Chase Budinger currently out 620 points behind their fellow countrymen Trevor Crabb and Theo Brunner. Both of those teams direct into the main draw in Xiamen. Chase and Miles are the 2 seed. Trevor and Theo are the 7 seed there in China. And then one more thing I should note here is, let's see, Borman's into Groot, 3rd team out, but they only have 9 teams, 9 tournaments played. So once they add those 3, they will jump Matthew Immers and Van de Velde, and they will jump well up with those 3 more finishes. They will look like the likely qualifier for the Netherlands, but right now not in the pole position to do so. Pedro and Guto for Brazil are out, so are Renato and Vitor Felipe. Let's move on to the bubble watch for the men, and you can see that Try and Came right now for the USA are the first team out via points, and they are also 660 points behind. Let's see, is that right? No, they are 660 points out of the cutoff line. They are 1,300 points behind Trevor Crabb and Theo Brunner. As I said, Cuba, they are rocketing to the top right now. They are only 2 spots back. They are the 19th team right now with country quota, and they only have 10 tournaments played, so 2 more to go. One this weekend, and the next one in Brazil. They're only adding points, so they're going to bump up into that line. And as of right now, the likeliest to bump out of that would be the Grimalt brothers from Chile. I don't know if they're brothers or cousins. I shouldn't say brothers. But Diaz and Aleo likely to bump up in there, and the team that I would expect to get bumped out if everything stays the same would be Grimalt and Grimalt. For the men, I would say your cutoff is probably... Oh, man, it's going to be tough for any of those teams to bump up in. Norway's 500 points out. That's probably where you draw the line. I guess Sam Schachter and Dan Deering, Poland, Lithuania, they have a chance. But if I'm putting the in the hunt graphic up here right now, I have Diaz and Alea from Cuba in the hunt, Seidel and Pristaus from Austria in the hunt, and Moll and Bernsen. Those are the 3 teams I think that could make a run here, bump up into that points qualifying, and bump 1 or 2 of the teams that are above that red line back out of it. So that's your Olympic recap. Again, to quick summarize, 2 teams per federation. The United States men have 2 right now, Partain Benish and Trevor and Theo, currently with 7,860 points. They're about 1,300 points ahead of ex-NBA player Chase Budinger and his teammate Miles Evans, but who are still very much in the hunt where they get that North Seca tournament coming up where they can only add points to their record. So that's your Olympic update. And we'll move on to Xiamen. Got the bet slip for Xiamen coming up here, and we've talked about it a lot already. Cuba's Diaz and Aleo at the best odds there to win plus 500. It's amazing how quick you can bump up on one of these things with just a month of good performances out of Cuba there. Trevor and Theo, Chase and Miles are your 2nd and 3rd best seeds. That Norway team we were just talking about, Pedro and Guto, always hard to beat. And then you work your way down there on the men's side. If you're looking for a good value pick on this one, I gave you a couple good value picks last time. I gave you Cuba on the men's side. They didn't win gold, but they certainly had a good run at it. I think your value pick for this one, let's see, maybe Austria's Horl and Horst at plus 900. I think Norway's Moll and Bernsen maybe could do some damage at plus 800. I think your winners of this tournament will be one of those top 3. And if I had to put money on it, let's go Chase and Miles at plus 700. That's who I'm taking on the men's side to win in Xiamen, China. Again, qualifier is just underway from the other side of the globe. On the women's side, top of the odds, Esme and Zoe from Switzerland at plus 500. Laura Ludwig, the legend, and Louise Lippmann, the indoor player, turned out to the sand at plus 600, 2nd best odds. And their fellow country women, Ittlinger and Borger, also there at plus 600. Pav and Molly had a pretty good tournament in Tepic. They're looking to take that and parlay that into a good weekend here in this challenge event and to gain some separation and to get above that Mendoza line and get above that horrible red line and into the top 17. Molly and Sarah can do that with a good performance here and a good couple more performances the rest of the way. I like Banzi and Bukovic at plus 1,000. They are very motivated in this one. They got some pretty good value odds there. Who's going to win the tournament? It's a German team, and I'll go ahead and say Laura Ludwig and Louise Lippmann win this one in Xiamen, China. Looking for a long shot in this one. Just keep your eye on Haley Harward and Kylie DeBerg of the USA. Plus 1,500 odds. We know Haley Harward's been on tour for a while now. Played in the World Champs, got the wild card with Alex Kleiman. Has won an AVP in Fort Lauderdale with Tina Gradina. So very good player there, good defender for the USA. Keep an eye on them at plus 1,500. They'll be kind of fun to watch. And that is your Xiamen Challenge recap. All right, we're going to move to our on the mic section of the show. I like to highlight stuff that's happening in sports broadcasting because that is, one of my passions, I will say. And this comes to you from Denver 2 nights ago. Denver Nuggets leading the series 1-0 over the Lakers. And you're thinking, Chris, why do I care about this? Basketball, this is a beach volleyball show. Well, the play-by-play guy for the Denver Nuggets on the Altitude Television Network is a guy that you may know as Chris Marlowe, the legend, called AVP games way back in the day, maybe in the 90s, I would say. Sorry, Chris, if I'm dating you too much there. But he's a legend and just an awesome call here. So this is Chris Marlowe on the mic, and he's got a play-by-play guy too. His name is, make sure I get it for you here. I don't have it for you. Any case, sorry to him, but again, Altitude TV, the television network, Chris Marlowe on the call from the Altitude TV Sports.
LeBron, no! Porter's got it! Nuggets, 12 seconds remaining. They're not going to call timeout. 9 seconds remaining. Murray's got to go! Murray lets it fly! Yeah! Oh my God! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
So I just wanted to get you a great call there from the legend Chris Marlowe on the Denver Altitude TV network. Just a legend of a broadcaster right there, and you got to love Chris Marlowe. He does a great job for the Denver Nuggets, and Denver Nuggets up 2-0 in that series over the Lakers. Zana Muno on Sandcast this week, talking about the struggles of the grind of being a beach volleyball player.
I think that time away was so helpful for me to see it from afar instead of just being in it and just life or death. If this person doesn't pick me and I don't have enough points and I'm in the quality, my life's over, Yeah. Because we love it so much and you want it.
So good stuff there on from the Sandcast podcast. You can go to sandcast.com or just look them up on YouTube there at Sandcast or Instagram or Twitter or all the places that you might go for stuff like that. The Dino, a beach volleyball tournament from Hawaii. 5 Olympians made it out to the Dino this past weekend. You got from left to right, the legend, the GOAT, the thin beast, the skinny beast, Phil Dahlhauser, Casey Patterson, Taylor Crabb, Paul Lottman, indoor Olympian, and Jake Spiker Gibb in the signature white hat, playing in a tournament in Hawaii. Good stuff. Love seeing legends get together out there in Hawaii. So I wanted to bring that one to you. I thought that was a fun one as well. And finally, from our everything else section of the show, from April Ross's Instagram story just yesterday, her and Alex Kleiman out on the beach getting some reps. I love it. And so that is just about it for the everything else segment of the show. So that'll about do it for us here today. As I said, you got the challenge event going on from Xiamen in China. It's an important one for all those teams we just saw in the bubble there. I gave you some picks and predictions. Don't forget to check out the blog, and also got to give a couple of shout-outs here. The pictures that I'm using at the beginning of the show, courtesy of volleyballworld.com, en.volleyballworld.com. Great product there, and from VBTV occasionally getting clips from games and highlights there. For the gambling, thanking BetMGM for the odds and spreads. I did just check the odds for the challenge event in Xiamen are live on BetMGM right now, so you're going to see those slips coming in. I usually probably stay away from the qualifiers today, and then maybe tomorrow and Friday start hitting it hard. Looking for those set spread dogs, and here's another one for you. Your team, if you're taking a set spread dog, your team gets out to a 2, 3, 4 point lead early. Side out like you're supposed to. All you got to do is side out like you're supposed to, and we're going to take this one home. We're going to get that one set. We're set spread dogs. We're going to take that money. We're going to go home. We're going to enjoy the rest of that volleyball match. So set spread dogs are where it's at. That's what we love here on Bet the Beach. Side out like you're supposed to. Want to thank also Altitude TV network there for the great call. Chris Marlowe, the legend, on the call. Denver Nuggets. Zana Munoz on Sandcast. Thank you to both of them. I try to promote Sandcast as much as I can because I would love using their content as a reference. And they've educated me a lot about what's going on in the world from beach volleyball. So make sure you check out that podcast live today on all platforms. And thank you to Taylor Crabb on the Instagram. Thank you to April Ross on the Instagram. And thank you to the listeners for checking in and enjoying another episode of Bet the Beach. We'll be back here this time next week, Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on the YouTube channel for Bet the Beach. Talk to you next week.